BCTV.
BCTV.
All right, guys. Welcome to the channel. This is my top 10 thrift store mistakes. My name is Dustin. I started a company called Community Thrift in 2019. Well, we actually founded in 2018. We collected donations for about a year in advance. Then we opened up our first physical location in 2019, April of 2019. It's been a wild ride. I mean, through COVID, through everything, we have grown tremendously. I just thought, what better way to help out the thrift store community and frankly, everyone at large, just highlighting some of the things we do and some of the mistakes I see out there. Anyways, check it out. Okay, so for point number 1, refusing donations. If you are refusing donations, you are really limiting your store's growth and just your business overall. I think back to when I worked at Goodwill. I was the IT manager at Goodwill for 3 years before I ever created Community Thrift. In executive meetings, they would talk about how 76% of donors donate out of convenience. And at the time, I found that hard to believe because I just thought, well, isn't this about the mission? Isn't this a mission-oriented business as well as all the other thrift stores out there? And the reality is people donate out of convenience. If you think about your life, yourself, whether you're cleaning out your garage or you're cleaning out your closet, getting rid of old clothes, you just found some new stuff you like at Costco and now you want to get rid of some old shirts you don't wear anymore, you really are pretty tired by the time you're done and you just want to drop it off somewhere nearby that's accessible. So with that being said, who dominates this industry in terms of donation acquisition? Goodwill does, right? They're synonymous. I mean, when you think of thrift stores, you think of Goodwill. The issue is that you're a new thrift store. Nobody knows who you are. So if they go out of their way to bring you the item, you really should accept the items, even if you're lacking in space, even if it's a challenge at the moment, because if you turn away those donation guys, they're not coming back. They're going somewhere else. Even more frustrating than that is they're probably not going to come back the next time they have donations. Within reason, you want to accept every item you possibly can because you need those items to process and sell in your store. Even if not immediately, you will need them when donations slow down. And on top of that, the only things you could potentially turn away that we typically filter through is like broken furniture, mattresses. We don't accept VHS anymore or magazines. In the early days, we took pretty much everything, including some mattresses. If they had a lot of regular donations, housewares, clothing, electronics, we would take a mattress because we're new. We didn't want to sour them on us and we wanted to get those items. And ultimately the disposal cost for the mattress is not that high. So guys, I really encourage you, biggest thing, stop turning away donations. I see this all the time on Facebook. I see it all the time in person. This is a death knell for your business. You need to accept donations all day long, every day. Point number 2, guys, lack of adequate inventory before opening. I realize this may sound similar to refusing donations, but it's really not, because what I see out there every day is people go and find a location they like and they just open up shop. And they may have a yard sale's worth of inventory. This just doesn't work if you want to be successful in this industry. You need to acquire, I would say, anywhere in the vicinity of 50 to 150 pallets of inventory in advance before you ever open a store. And I know 50 to 150 sounds like a lot, but really it's not as much as you think, guys. You need to go out, solicit yard sales, message them on Facebook, hand them a flyer in person. You need to post on community groups. You need to ask friends and family, any method you can get, your church, all these things. If you have access to donation bins, which I assume most of you don't, get those placed. You have got to drum up a lot of donations before you ever open a store. The reason for this is very multifaceted. I mean, we'll get into it here in a bit, but item turnover, new inventory, all these things really impact your ability to capture and retain customers. Do not just go out and get a building and hope that people show up to donate. That's not how it works, guys. You have got to get donations in advance, especially for the months that are slow, the winter months. Your donations are going to go to basically zero. If you do not have inventory on hand, you won't have anything new to put out on the shelves, and that will be a disaster for your store. When someone comes in, they can't find a new item 2 or 3 times, they're not coming back. I'm just warning you now. You want to have a substantial amount of inventory on hand so that you can be safe throughout the year. Point number 3, advertising. I don't know that this really deserves to be in the 3rd spot, and honestly, I probably should revisit the priority I have these in. But I see a ton of new stores never advertise. You have got to do boosted Facebook ads. Google ads. I mean, the cost per click on Google ads for local visits and appear on the top of maps, I think it's like in the vicinity of $1 to $2 per click. You guys got to think this is, keywords like donation drop off near me, thrift store near me, right? Goodwill. I'll do all the keywords for Goodwill. Anything related to thrift stores is a very cheap cost per click. You're going to get traffic. You're going to get visitors. They're going to come to your website. If you have a donation pickup service, especially if you have a contact form or a scheduling app integrated with your website, you have got to advertise. This is pivotal to your brand. I mean, I know this is like business 101, seems obvious, but again, we've had several thrift stores go out of business here just in the past 5 years, I would say. We've grown exponentially. One of the key outliers is advertising, even posting for free, guys. Whether it's videos like this or social media posts, it's easy to snap a few pictures of items and just put them on your page. It costs you nothing. You can do Instagram reels, whatever. You've got to get out there. But that being said, I don't see a lot of success with new pages and just organic customer generation. You've got to boost posts. It's very simple to take photos of a bunch of cool items, boost a post, say, hey, look at the new treasures we got in today. Come by, XYZ Thrift and check this stuff out. It's awesome. We're here every day from this time to this time and would love to see you. Those kind of ads are very cheap to deliver and get you a lot of impressions. I mean, typically any ad we run gets 50 to 150,000 impressions and costs, on the vicinity of $500 to $1,500. There's really, you look at radio, you're spending $2,000 a month. I don't even think people listen to the radio anymore. I haven't seen much traffic from that at all. TV, another very difficult one, right? What are you going to advertise on? Are you going to pick Hulu or are you going to pick YouTube? I think social media and Google ads is where it's at, but you got to spend some money. You can't hold on to every penny or you're not going to grow and it's going to be rough. Number 4, pricing. I'm going to try to summarize it as easily as possible here. You have got to price items what they're worth. And by that, I mean, if you get an item like a new pair of Skechers, you need to price it at least 50% of retail value, right? So if it's worth $50, you should price it at $24.99. Maybe even $29.99. If you get a Hobby Lobby frame worth $50, again, $24.99, $29.99, somewhere in there. Do not go below $19.99, whatever you do. The reality is you have color discounts, or at least hopefully you do, to accommodate for things that you overprice. But ultimately, people want quality items at a quality price. 50% off in my mind, and most people's minds, is a good price. Even if they complain at the register, if they're buying it, they're still buying it, right? Ignore their complaints in that regard. It's hard to do, but I'm telling you, because ultimately the customer always wants a lower price, right? If I go to Costco, I love Costco. I would love it if everything was free. But what would happen to Costco if everything was free? There would be no Costco, right? Same thing with your store. Many of you make this mistake out there and you go out of business in 6 months to a year and a half. You have got to price your items what they are worth. Again, I know it seems hard to believe because many of you instinctually want to say, well, I'll just price everything low and everything will sell. That's not how it works, guys. If you don't like this shirt, for instance, right? This shirt right here, it's just a cheap polo. Whether you see it at $1, 10 cents, whatever. If you're not a reseller, it does not matter what the value is. If you don't like it, you're not going to wear it, which means you're not going to buy it. But again, if this polo, hypothetically costs $20 new, you're going to buy it at $4.99 or even $6.99, right? That's the challenge here, guys. I really want to stress, you have got to price your stuff accordingly. I see a lot of you doing bag deals. Bag deals are a bad idea. I don't care if it's books. I don't care what category it is, because many of you think, oh, we're getting rid of all our old books this way. It's not happening. What's happening is all your high quality books are going out the door in a bag for $5 when you could have sold probably 1 or 2 of those books to get the same $5. So I'm telling you, don't do bag deals. Don't price too low. That being said, speed, efficiency, you have to have a team. You have to trust your team, right? They have to price, at least for us in housewares, between 200 and 250 items a day at an average price point of $4 per item. Clothing, we use unit pricing for clothing. There may be some room for improvement there, but that being said, it allows for much more speed when processing clothing. So we expect 400 to 600 items going out per day per pricer for clothing, or sorter, we should say. That being said, you have to have a team. Many of you who start a thrift store, you want to control every little thing. You want to look up every little item on eBay. Guys, eBay Sold is a great tool, but number one, you need to make sure you're using Sold, and you just need to be prudent about what you look up on eBay. And the reason I say this is it's tempting to look up every item on eBay, anything you don't know anything about, but ultimately coffee cups, right? Plates, most pairs of shoes. You have a general idea of what they're worth. You don't need to look them up on eBay. You want to look up the obscure items, the vintage items, the collectible items, right? I've seen people, sports cards are a terrible one, right? Pokemon cards, my word, they want to go through and look at every single card. Guys, you're spending hours upon hours looking up 3 to 5 cent Pokemon cards. That's insane. Yeah, you might miss out on a high value card. You can definitely shuffle through them and do a quick glance. But if you're scanning or looking up every card, I hate to break it to you, you're hurting your business. You need to prioritize speed at a decent average price point. Do not get caught up in looking up everything on eBay. Many of you guys who are resellers who evolve into opening your own store, again, you go out and you want to get eBay. It's so funny. You guys complain when thrift stores charge, even 50% of retail for a like new item or new item. And yet when you open your stores, you guys seem to think you're going to get 100% of eBay sold prices with 1/100th the customer base, right? Because eBay, you got 1 million potential customers. And I mean, in your store, you're lucky if you have 100. Price things correctly, price them quickly. You want to have new items every day. If people are coming into your store and they're not finding items they like 3, 4, 5 times, they're not coming back, guys. Unless they're an avid thrifter, they are not coming back. You want them to be able to go home and say, oh, look at this pair of shoes I got at XYZ Thrift. Look at this cool item. Look at that, And again, 50% of retail on a like new item is a great deal. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. You have got to tune out some of the feedback you get because people always want a lower price. Have you ever sold an item that's worth $1,000 for $10 and had them say,
oh, I wish you would have charged me more?
That almost never happens, guys. So price items quickly and competitively. You can do this. Don't be dissuaded. All right, point number 5. This one should be pretty straightforward. And if you would have talked to me early in my entrepreneurial journey, I would have thought this stuff comes obvious. But there's a reason there's probably millions of books written about this. Customer service, guys. Customer service is pivotal. This ties into the rejecting donations. This ties into checking out customers, welcoming customers, helping them in the store, everything. Again, your business should not be you focused. Your employees should not be me focused, right? They should be thinking about how they can make the customer experience better. That is 100% pivotal to your business, guys. If you do not have cashiers that are courteous, that are joyful, that have a soft spirit, it's going to be really hard to retain and get new customers, guys. I think to rejecting donations, right? If someone does come in with a dirty, stinky mattress, it's really hard, but hey, there's a huge difference between sorry, can't take it, it's junk, versus hey man, I really wish we could help, but unfortunately this doesn't meet our quality standards. You could take it to the landfill. Here's their address, or I know this place accepts old used mattresses and repurposes them if you happen to have something like that in your area. Those are far better solutions than just no, it's junk, I don't want it. Just think about that in your journey, guys. Think about training your staff to have a customer-oriented heart, because I'm telling you, after having gone through hundreds of employees in the last 7 years, some of the stories I could tell you guys about vaping while checking out customers, talking on the phone while checking out customers, right? I mean, these are things that just, you think people know instinctually, but I'm just warning you now. If it can happen, it will happen. So you need to train, you need to have policies in place to care about your customers. That is super important. And if you do that, they will come back, they will post good reviews. And before I forget, it is okay to solicit reviews. You need Google reviews as a new business. This is very important. It helps your rankings. It helps you get more customers in the door. So do not be afraid to say, hey, did you enjoy your visit today? Awesome. Could we bother you to maybe leave us a Google review? We'd really appreciate it. It really helps us out. That's a totally great idea, and I highly suggest you guys do that. Point number 6, rotating items. This is another big one. The amount of stores I see out there that want to leave items on the shelf in perpetuity is insane. Guys, you've got to rotate your items. You need to use color tags. You see this stuff at Goodwill every day. You see it at other thrift stores. Why are you not rotating items? Think about it. Ultimately, if something sits on the shelf for 5 to 6 weeks, it's had an ample chance to sell. I realize there's some ambiguity to this with a brand new store, right? Because you don't have a high customer base. And in that case, there may be some exceptions to perhaps reprice or save a few items for later in the year. But realistically, guys, do not keep items on the shelf in perpetuity. I don't care what they are. You need to have a color rotation. You need to have a color discount at 4, 5, or 6 weeks. And then the following week, pull those items. Pull means throw away or recycle. It does not mean save them. It will slow down your process. It will not be wise. You look at the Goodwill bins, right? The Goodwill bins is pulled items. That's what that is. There are some valuable items that make it there because naturally not every item's going to sell. But most items do sell in the store. And that is just Goodwill trying to get a little bit of value out of those items before they go to recycling or garbage. I strongly encourage you guys. I've seen so many stores. I mean, I think of Veterans Thrift here that went out of business for a myriad of reasons, to be honest. But we walked through their store when they opened and we walked through it when it closed. And guess what? The same printers on the shelf. We don't sell printers, guys. Used printers don't sell in general. But if you're going to put them on the shelf, you need to pull them after 5 to 6 weeks. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how cool you think it is. Not every item's going to sell. Don't do crazy sales thinking, oh, if we do $1 day or a 10-cent day or whatever, these items will then sell. I went over this in my pricing, point number 4, right? We have got to price accordingly and then pull or replace those items at the appropriate time. If an item does not sell, especially at $1 or whatever, it's because nobody has interest in that item. You're not going to find, that perfect soul who wants that item. Just let it go, move on to something else. Use your square footage for more valuable items that can generate sales, that can get customers to keep coming back. I see this all the time. You guys get really concerned about keeping those items. It's just not wise. I know it's hard. I know it seems counterintuitive, but you've got to rotate through items. This is why you want to have a good donation base, good pricing team, so that you can constantly be replenishing your stock, pulling and replacing for the items that do not sell. All right, guys, trust me on this. Point number 7. This is also very important. Your retail square footage. When you are shopping for a space, you gotta have, we started with 4,172 square feet, and I will be 100% transparent in telling you, even though we have thrived and we've grown tremendously, right? We've gone to $1 million in that one location. That's revenue, not profit, okay? That has required expanding to another part of the building for production space. We used to price in a little, I would say 20 by 25 area for pricing. It was super tight. We could barely fit in there. Ultimately, that's where we did all of our donation acceptance, all of our pricing, and it was just super hard. We still had great sales, especially post-COVID, but when we got another 2,500 square feet at the other end of the building, that tremendously helped us to both expand our retail footprint and price much more quicker, have more room for donations so that we could sort stuff more efficiently. It's very important, guys. I see so many of you go out and you either lease somewhere that's too far out of town and small, or you lease somewhere in town that is in a great location per se for your area, but is 2,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet. You don't have enough room. That's the reality. You need probably 30%, at least 25% of your square footage to be allotted just for donation acceptance and pricing. And so you think about a 2,000 square foot area. You take away 500 square feet, you got 1,500 square feet of items. That is not going to work, guys. I don't have any other way to put this. You need thousands of square foot. There's just no other way to run this business. You are going to want to have an ample amount of items on your shelves. If you only have 1,500 square feet post, production donation acceptance room, what makes someone want to go to the 1,500 square foot store over the 10,000 square foot Goodwill store? It just doesn't make sense. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to afford 10,000 square feet, but you need to save your money. You need to have a reasonable amount of investment money in order to get a decent spot that is big enough to run a thrift store. I would 100% suggest at least 4,000 square feet, if not 5,000 to 6,000 when starting out, because it's going to be really hard otherwise. And if it's under 4,000, I don't think you can make it. I haven't seen any great thrift stores make it. If you're looking to build a big thrift store, a successful thrift store, or multiple thrift stores, you're gonna need the space. If you just want to create yourself a job, then sure, go for it. Number 8, location. So this ties in with the square footage, and it's hard not to talk about all these, but location is obviously extremely important, right? Our first store was about a block away from the largest Goodwill store in our area. Why is that? Well, because ultimately Goodwill's not going to steal our donors. They're not going to steal our customers, right? But we can hopefully get some people to visit our store after visiting Goodwill. Same thing goes for you guys. I see so many people trying to start stores in remote, untrafficked areas. I mean, I understand there's budgetary constraints, but this is hard because I know you guys have dreams. I know you want to make it work, right? I know you want to start. You just want to get going. But if you cannot get a decent location that meets your square footage requirements, that is in a highly trafficked area or at least semi-highly trafficked area, do not do it. If you're going to somewhere that claims to be historic, right? Historic downtown, historic means dead. That's what it means, guys. You know what I'm talking about. There are no big businesses in that area for a reason. If you don't have a Walmart nearby, a Lowe's, a Home Depot, a Harbor Freight, a McDonald's, anything that is remotely popular in today's culture, don't go there. Don't do it. I know it's tempting. I know you have a budget, but if your budget doesn't allow you to have a semi-decent location that's at least somewhat trafficked, you're gonna die. People are not gonna travel to historic downtown wherever to give you their high value donations. They're not going to come shop there when they can go right over, to the main shopping hub and hit Ross, Marshall's, Goodwill, and Target or whatever. No matter how tempting it may be for your budget, remember your business is a reflection of its location. No matter how bad you want it, if you don't get a suitable location, you're going to go out of business. So you might as well not start if you're not going to make wise decisions in the beginning. That's just the reality, guys. I know it sucks. I know commercial real estate, whether you're leasing or purchasing, is super spendy, but ultimately you have got to make that investment. I remember when we started, at the time, I think the lease was like $4,500 a month in 2019. And we were sweating bullets. That was a lot of money for us. $4,500 a month was, something like 65% of my current income at the time. And I just think, if it didn't work out, it would have been really rough. But again, if we would have went anywhere else, we would not be where we are today, right? And so that's where you've got to get a good location. You cannot go to the far recesses of wherever and hope that people show up. I see so many videos on YouTube where people have these remote thrift store locations and they're dead. I see so many people here locally that open remote thrift stores and go out of business. Don't do it, guys. I'm warning you now. Number 9, we are almost through this. This is also a major pet peeve of mine. Using donated fixtures. You know who you are. The reality is why do all retail establishments have nice flooring, nice fixtures, nice lighting? We're not reinventing the wheel here, guys. You have got to make the investment. No matter how bad you want it, you have got to make the investment. We are in a highly competitive market. Okay, I know it seems tempting that, I'll just start and I'll use donated, bookshelves and Home Depot ghetto wall racks. Guys, this is a retail square footage game. The more stuff you have out, the more you can sell. The better it looks, the more likely it will sell. You cannot be using donated fixtures. If you go into any Goodwill, what does it look like? Most of them are very nice, right? Even the gondolas, which I consider fairly ugly, at least hold a lot of items, right? But many of them have polished concrete floors, nice lighting, new paint, right? All these things matter. You cannot skimp on this stuff. I know you want to believe, you want to have faith that it's all going to work out. But again, there is a reason all these stores do this stuff. The amount of comments we get about how clean it is, frankly, it's a major, thing for me because I get frustrated because there are so many of you out there starting stores that have carpet flooring that's dirty, dingy, poorly lit, that have donated fixtures that are half broken, half falling over, can barely hold the weight of the books, can barely hold the weight of the housewares, whatever. Don't contrast well with the building or anything. You're not only setting yourself up for failure, but you're really hurting the chances of anyone breaking into the thrift industry because ultimately people equate Goodwill, Value Village / Savers as nice stores. They equate basically any other thrift store as a hole in the wall because of the fact that so many of you do try to skimp and cheap out on your fixtures. I'm telling telling you, if you want to be successful, you've got to make the investment. I know it sucks. I know it's a lot of money, but ultimately I am telling you it will pay off in the end. The amount of comments we get about how clean our store is, how nice it is, how organized it is nonstop, because people, the first time they come in, they do not expect a store to be nice and organized that isn't a large chain. If you want to have a successful store, you need to make it look nice, and it will pay dividends, I assure you guys. Okay, point number 10. This is just really kind of a petty one. Inconsistent hours. Why do you guys do this? This is insane. If you went to Target, if you went to Home Depot, if you went to Goodwill, if you went anywhere and you showed up and they're like, sorry, closed today, and it's not a major holiday, what do you think? You think that's weird, right? Yet I see thousands of stores all over the country that literally say, oh, sorry, closed today. Oh, open 10 to 4 Tuesday, open 11 to 2 Wednesday, open 10 to 4 Thursday, closed Friday, open 9 to 4 Saturday. Guys, this is crazy. This is crazy. Even crazier is some of you out there are open erratic hours on both sides, meaning you are open from say 9 to 5 at the store, but only 9 to 1 for donations. What? That's crazy, guys. You have got to have consistent hours. You cannot change your hours. I don't even care if in the winter it slows down. You can't change your hours. You can't do it. Don't do it, because everyone's like, oh, well, in the winter, it's slow, so we like to open at 10, and instead of staying open till 7, we close at 6. That may seem logical, but guess what you're doing? You're training all the customers who knew you were open from, say, 9 to 7, now are getting trained that you're open 10 to 6. And as soon as winter ends, oh, great, now they're trained that you're open 10 to 6, and yet now you're back to open in 9 to 7. It's crazy, guys. Hold consistent hours. Be smart. You have got to put yourself in your customer's shoes. This is not difficult. You have got to have someone there. If you cannot afford staff, you should not be in business. Just because you form the business as a pass-through entity does not mean that it should literally be a pass-through entity, meaning donations go in, they go out, and you basically have enough to get by for another month. That is not a viable business. That's not healthy for you. If you can get, I know it sucks, but if you can make more money at a job, then maybe get a job. That's hard, I know. But ultimately, if it's not a hobby and you're really looking to grow a business, you've got to hold consistent hours. You got to be there every day, and you just got to make it work. Anyways, that sums up this video. Again, guys, donations. You got to accept any decent donations. You got to have good customer service. You got to have a good location with good fixtures, good designs. You have got to have good pricing. You cannot skimp on these things. I'm telling you, if you want to be successful, these are the core things to do for your thrift store or any retail business really that is donation based. Please remember this. I swear, if you apply these things, it will take time. It's not going to be instant, but you will see dividends if you're in a good location and you do things correctly. That is the nature of business. And so you want to plant seeds that can grow. Again, this is not an overnight success thing. We started 7 years ago. We just purchased a new building for $2.3 million, and now we're purchasing another building for $2.15 million with $250,000 in improvements as well. And that took years and years of diligence and prudence to pay off. And so I'm just telling you what worked for us. You've got to do these things if you want to grow a successful thrift store chain. We're in a very difficult market. There's a tremendous benefit to everyone, right? Because we all know that the economy is pretty tight right now. So if you source items and sell them affordably, you are helping your community. You can also help, by donating to various causes. We donate to a lot of nonprofits. It just depends on what your mission is and how you want to help your community. But ultimately, if you apply these principles, you will do a lot better than most of the stores I see out there.